while.
Took her a while.
There's no doubt about it. She was, but I think mothers are pretty much that way, especially with their boys.
No.
Exaggerated,
Yeah,
perhaps, but
No.
and then daddies
Not
are with
like
their
that.
girls. So,
That is true.
yeah.
Except both my parents accepted you, hook, line, and sinker.
Yeah, I had your mom pretty much snowed.
Yes, you did.
I could go in there and ask her if it's okay if we stay out a little bit later. I'd just look her in the eyes and she'd say, okay.
And then she'd have to cover
Mm-hmm.
for me for my dad. But Dad was pretty crazy about you too.
Yeah, I think he liked the way I worked. That's
He
what
did.
impressed him.
Liked your work ethic.
That's the way to impress any girl's family if you work your ass
You
off.
work. Back in that time.
Yeah.
Back in that time. They'd
Well,
come over and help my dad build fences or, work on a tractor or something. And yeah. Pat Ratliff came up to me at the reunion. That reminds me. He was asking me about, do I still have horses and whatnot? I didn't know. And he said, well, I came out to your house one time. And I go, yeah, I remember. On your motorcycle. And my dad didn't like you from the very beginning. He goes, yeah, I know. Rode out there on a motorcycle, had his jeans on and loafers with no socks and his shirt tail out. But he remembered that. I didn't think he was. Boy, don't have no
Well,
socks on. That ain't right.
probably for the Manson family.
David Stapleton, I think when they first started dating Brooke, had a crotch rocket.
Oh, that's right.
And I think he come over to get Brooke, and Jack told him,
Nope.
she's not getting on that. Then he sold it.
Well, my dad didn't let me get on that motorcycle. We were
Yeah.
going to go riding. He goes, nope. Yeah.
Now look at you.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny how
Thanks,
things
Kenny.
changed after
Mm-hmm.
both of your parents are dead.
Well,
Well, I mean, timing is about.
well, I always
Grandma
knew
died.
it. Oh, yeah. Well, I would never have done anything like that to cause her to worry anymore than she already worried about.
Right. I mean, also coincidentally timed when you were retiring and stuff too. I get it, but
Yeah.
just funny.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah, I would never have wanted her to. We'd come back from a vacation and tell her about the stuff we did, and she goes, and you wonder why I worry about you all the time. I go,
Well, and I don't know, motorcycles were different back then too. I mean,
I know. I'm just saying it's.
you know what I'm saying? They were just not as good as they are nowadays. And most of them were two wheelers. And
yeah, we do cheat. We're on a trike. We have training wheels, so it doesn't.
Yeah, I know that. I just was gonna make this just kind of.
Yeah.
And it depends on where you're driving. I wouldn't drive it around Kansas City if that was the only thing I had to drive. With all the traffic, but where we drive out in the national parks and 2-lane highway, there's not.
You can still get hurt, but less late hurt. Yeah, and we've told you. You remember when his mom took his car away?
What?
It's your iPad ringing, but I'm not going to answer it.
Who is it?
I have no idea.
That's probably Bob and I calling me back. Yeah, when I went to OSU, I didn't have a way to get around to class, and I wanted a little motorcycle.
You had a car.
Huh?
You had your car.
Well, I guess I did. I just
Yes, you
didn't
had
want
your
to drive
car,
it
but
back and forth to campus,
Right.
So we went down to Linwood, which is not there anymore, of course. And I found a 90 Suzuki. It was $440 for a brand new 90 Suzuki. I paid $40 down and paid $100 a month for 4 months. And that's how I got started riding dirt bikes. Because we'd go out, ride around. They were building Lake McMurtry at that time. And we'd go out and ride around where all they were doing the dirt work, And I remember I went out by myself, which is not a good idea. And just west of town, they were cutting roads for a new addition going in. You know, putting sewer and.
Yeah.
And I had put on a pair of goggles that I had in my chemistry class that came out and went back like this, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I normally didn't wear anything at all. And I was puttering down through there, and I come up over this hill. I mean, this road, this was kind of a dirt road everybody had been using. I didn't expect anything to come across it. And here's four strands of barbed wire. And 3 or 4 things go through your mind, and by that time it's too late.
Too late, yeah.
Either you lay it down or you try to pop the front up, and the front wheel went over the bottom strands, and then the 2 on the top came up over the back and raked across me.
I don't know why I thought you did that when you were racing. I thought you had done that when you were racing. I don't think I knew that. I don't think I've heard that story.
No, I was by myself. I had on a jacket. It was cool. It was about this time of year, I guess. Well, it was. I think it probably, because I had to go home for Christmas. That's what it was. Anyway, those 2 strands come up, and that shit don't give. I mean, it ripped a hole in my neck here, ripped a gouge here, 3-corner tear right here, and probably if I hadn't had those goggles on, I think it slid over them. It probably got an eyeball or 2. So of course, I'm down on the ground, and it knocked me goofy. I couldn't focus, but I could feel all the holes, and my bike wouldn't start. It was laying on the ground, so I get my bike up. And I finally got it started, and so I rode back in. And you know, the whole time I was feeling what was torn.
Yeah.
So I walk into the bathroom, and Craig's taking a shower. He just got out of the shower, and he's toweling off. And I walk in, I know there's blood all over my face.
Yeah.
He said, "What the hell happened to you?" So I looked in the mirror so I could see what had happened, and I went to the infirmary, which there was one nurse working at the infirmary.
Chris took you because Chris was going to study with me, help me with some math or something.
Well, that's true. Chris took me.
And he didn't show up, and he didn't show up, and he didn't show up. So.
So we go to the infirmary. Of course, she can tell right off she's going to have help. So she calls. I think he was just a regular doctor. He wasn't a plastic surgeon. He came in. I don't know. It took him 20 minutes or so. They cleaned it all up, and he put it all back together. This one in my neck looked like just a hole. It was about the size of a quarter. I don't know how it did that.
Just.
And then I guess I'm lucky it didn't
close counters.
Hit my jugular vein, or you wouldn't be here today.
So when they finally called me from the hospital and told me where they were. And I said, well, I'll come over there. And he goes, no, you better just wait till Brian's back to the house. He said, he didn't look good. So when I finally saw Brian, he was so upset. He thought he was going to be disfigured. Because, they had him all stitched up, and he was swollen, and all of this was just swollen and
the next
black
morning,
and blue.
Next morning, my lips were out, how it does.
He had this big thing around here where they patched him up, and he just said, I think I'm going to be disfigured. I'm going to have this big scar across. I think he thought it was bigger than it was. He said, I'm going to have a scar all the way across my face. And no, you won't.
Well, all the movie stars got that now.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I had to go home for Christmas, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm. So I told his mom about this.
It had healed up and didn't look near as bad. but you could still tell. So I drive home and open the door, and Mom looks at me and
What happened?
just a look on her face, and then I had to tell her my dad funded or helped me buy the motorcycle.
That was not good.
And of course, she was pissed at him
Yeah.
because it's all his fault. And so that was kind of a rough night.
Yeah.
And so she took your car away,
Yeah. She
which
told-
made a lot of sense. You know, you
Yeah, so you
almost
could just-
died on a
Now
motorcycle.
you have to ride a motorcycle.
Mhm.
So then tell them what you did. Because my dad and mom didn't want me riding on a motorcycle. They didn't know I'd been on a motorcycle either. So my dad gives him his old Ford pickup
To drive. He
to
didn't
drive
do-
to take back to school so that his daughter won't have to ride on a motorcycle.
Okay.
Which was all fine and good until that Brian decided that we needed to date around some, and he was taking his girlfriends around in my dad's pickup truck. And I was having no part of that.
What's wrong with that?
I was having no part of that business.
Pretty funny.
Yeah, that's.
Yeah.
Not very flexible.
Oh, my watch brand broke.
Again?
Gee.
Well, those are only good for a little while.
So I had told my dad about it.
Dad, take it back.
I think, didn't he finally?
I don't remember. I think my mom came to her senses and
Oh, they have a conversation, yeah, because my dad told your mom, you know, I've sent this truck up there so our kids don't have to do that. So I kind of need my truck back. So you need to get Brian back. I remember that now. Because I don't want my daughter riding around. We had fun on that little 90 Suzuki running all over town. You rode one day all the way to Oklahoma City from Stillwater with Bob Abernathy on his big Harley chopper.
No, I had a Triumph Bonneville.
Triumph motorcycle with his long hair, and Dad's up behind him on his 90 Suzuki
No,
going.
I didn't. I was on the motorcycle with Bob.
Yeah, you can't
Oh,
ride
I
a
thought
90
you rode that
Suzuki
90
versus
Suzuki to
Seattle.
town.
No,
Oklahoma City.
it was a Bonneville. He had bought it over in England when he was in the Navy.
Yeah.
And he kept saying, it's supposed to be in any day, and it came in, it was in a box. So, I forgot, he didn't have, there was a little garage. The house that we had a garage on the side, so we had it delivered there. And we put it together, and I don't know, it was about 3 or 4 o'clock when we finished. And there was a Bonneville shop in Oklahoma City down on Linwood, kind of where I got my little Suzuki. So he said, well, let's ride up there and get such and such. I don't remember what it was, but it was brand new.
Yeah.
He wanted to ride it.
Yeah, sure.
So I didn't have much of a coat.
You were on the bitch on the back of this Bonneville Triumph.
Well, going up, I mean, you know, from Stillwater, it's an hour and a half. And it was still daylight, but when on the way back, it was nighttime, cold. And we'd go down in the valleys and I'd about to freeze to death. And
Yeah, that's
I'd come up on
a
it.
fairly long little scoot if you're
Yeah,
Not
not
prepared.
like.
yeah. But that's where we started riding together. And of course, you know, things changed. He wanted a dirt bike, but he had the Bonneville for a while. We used to go out to McMurtry and
Like,
when they were doing all that dirt work, and we'd jump everything. And so I decided I think it was an Instamatic camera. I said, well, I'm going to lay down on the back side of this hill, and you jump over me, and I'll get a picture of you from the bottom
Yeah.
as you go over.
and he's on that big Bonneville.
Yeah, he flew over that thing, and when he hit on the other side, it was like, wham, you know, it's everything.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't a dirt bike at all.
They can be though. Some people trick out those Bonnevilles for like dual. Isn't that what Steve McQueen jumped over the fence in? And the
Yeah, well,
what's that movie called? Great Escape. That was
Well, it's funny what's popular back then and popular now. Another guy we had classes with had a Ducati. It's an Italian bike.
Yeah.
And they still make them. But that was the only one on campus.
They're expensive.
Was that
Very
one?
expensive.
Who was that?
I can't remember his name. He kind of,
Pricey.
he was kind of tall, dark complected, and black wavy hair. I think he might have been,
Maybe Italian?
you know, from overseas.
Somewhere else.
Yeah.
International student.
Hmm.
He was from Europe.
European.
Well, or
I'm gonna guess he might have been Italian if he was into Ducatis, and that was kind of unusual. Maybe he was Italian.
Maybe.
hmm
Because I'm not writing these stupid American.
Well, he
names.
might have been. Yeah, he might have been.
Yeah.
I guess Italians are dark, black hair.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes.
Handsome.
I forgot
And I don't remember him.
what his name was, but we were pretty good friends back then.
Oh. Who's that? Well, anyway, that's Brian's motorcycle stories.
My family is Italian.
That's his stories.
Hmm?
I said my family is Italian.
This is Italian. Oh.
Your family?
My mom was a grandfather.
Mm.
Full blood.
From the old country?
From the old country.
Oh.
I thought of something this morning early. I was going to do it while we was eating, but everybody go around and tell what your favorite Christmas was and why.
Oh, boy.
I feel like Elise did this at something similar at our shop dinner last week, and everybody's like, ugh. Like when you can't think of anything when you're asked.
Well, I'll go first. I remember when I went to, you remember that erector set?
Hmm? Yeah, I still have it.
I remember the year I got that, and after Christmas was all over, I thought, man, how could I get so many presents? I had that erector set on the bottom, and then everything else that I'd got stacked up on top of it, and it seemed like it went this high. And I had a Burr flat top.
How old were you that Christmas?
Well, probably somewhere single digit, 9 or 10,
Okay.
something like that.
Tends to
And
match.
I think I have a picture of me in front of my stash later that morning. And that was one that sticks in my memory. My memory is not all that. It's not near as good as yours or Mom's. But that always sticks in my memory and it was down in Holdenville out on the farm. And as I remember, Mike and Brenda and
Was your dad there then? I mean, was he home from overseas? Well, he would have been home, and their parents weren't divorced then.
no, everybody was there. It was a traditional. Everybody comes, all the kids are there. Christmas.
The year you got the biggest Christmas haul of ever.
Yeah, I thought, how could a kid get so lucky?
What about you, Kim?
Yeah, I don't know.
It's just the wind and that door.
It is the wind. Let me think on this.
Burglars.
Probably at some point in the 80s when my grandmother was still alive and she had a beautiful house and she loved Christmas. But I couldn't give you a specific year or memory.
But that apparently
Her house and her
made it look all like
she
Christmas.
and she baked and cooked and
Yeah.
it was really sweet. We would do puzzles and
Yeah. That sounds like a Hallmark movie.
kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I didn't have any cousins or anything, so it was just
They weren't nearly as pretty either, right?
right.
Yeah, I would imagine it would be hard to be prettier than you.
No, I mean,
No.
Never mind.
they weren't nearly as pretty as the Hallmark people.
Oh, that.
Mm.
Yeah, that's what I was gathering. We were not nearly as pretty as the Hallmark people.
Was there a bunch of little rugrats like you?
No, I don't have any cousins.
Really?
So your brother?
That's my brother.
Yep.
Me.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's back when we had families and
mom,
everybody
I
got
guess.
together. Kind of like family reunions. That was,
So
at the
exciting.
time you didn't realize it, but when you look back on it, that was part of the neatness of it, I guess, is all the kids running around. That's whenever Jack and Linda's cruise down, I think about all those cousins running around.
Those will be great memories
And,
for them. I
they'll-
hope they can stay connected.
They'll remember that place of his will seem like a Ford Arena to
Mhm.
them when they're little bitty running around that thing. But
Yeah.
What about you?
We had just moved back to California. I was 5. And we were having Christmas at my aunt's house, my mother's sister, in Holdenville, little town. And I thought their house was big at that time too, but it really wasn't. But gee, they had 3 bedrooms, so I thought they were, oh well. And my dad, we were all in the living room, and my Aunt Eula, would make clothes for Marilyn and I that matched, and we had these green felt skirts with Santa Claus and reindeer on them. You know, the little straps on them. And I thought those were so pretty. Of course, Marilyn would have to dress like me, and she'd just get so aggravated, but we looked really cute. And my dad was playing on a local TV show with a band, one of those little local TV shows, you know. And we were all watching for them to be on TV, little TV, you know. But Dad was going to come home right after that, and Santa was going to come. So they're trying to keep us all awake until Dad gets home anyway. All of a sudden, Mom said, "Niecy, do you hear that? What do you hear?" And I heard reindeer on the roof. And I heard jingle bells. And in the front door walked Santa. And he goes, "Oh, I thought everybody was asleep." And I was so excited. Oh, I was so excited. I have a picture of that somewhere. Sitting on his lap. And of course I wanted to follow him outside, but so I could see the reindeer. But it was my cousin Jim. He was a big, big guy. Rosy cheeks, blonde hair, and he had played Santa.
Cute.
And I was so excited about that I was just I could just see that in my mind. I was gonna follow him outside. I just knew I heard those reindeer on the roof. That's the most memorable. And I think Larry was there, and of course, Jim's kids, no, they didn't have kids yet. But anyway, I just thought that was the best thing ever. So,
You know that there weren't reindeer on the roof, right?
I think there was.
Burst the bubble.
I really thought there was. I remember when I realized that there wasn't a Santa, and I was trying to get that clear in my brain, how there could not be a Santa when I actually saw him.
Mm-hmm.
The real one, he came in our house. I was trying to get that clear in my brain, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Mother just let me work that out. Okay, you have to come up with one now.
I feel like it changes maybe, but not that it's all about presents, but I feel like the year that, I don't remember how old I was, probably 9 or 10, maybe the same age as you were, ish. And I feel like that was a super haul year, but it was, I don't remember what it was like. I don't remember what grade I was in, but I got the Hot Wheel Magic Mountain
Track.
racetrack thing, which was already kind of mind-blowing. And then I also got the Godzilla that had the tongue,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know, and the lever, and
In
it
the
shot,
back.
and it shot its. No, that was Ultraman. It did something else, and something else that like it was just like everything kept
Is
coming.
that when you got
all-
Stretch?
No, Stretch Armstrong was earlier because
I remember Stretch.
that was I think I was still in the 33rd house when I got Stretch Armstrong because I had a toy box, the football-shaped toy box that exploded.
Yeah, you were.
Exploded
You were
in the
over
toy
there.
box.
Yeah.
But yeah, I got the Godzilla and the what's it called, Magic Mountain, but it was like this racetrack that looked like a mountain for your Hot Wheels.
Pretty fancy.
I think there was something else, but I can't remember. But it just kept coming. They were all just under the tree, and there's a picture of me somewhere, like after I had that thing set up in the loft in my tidy whities and like
Skinny.
60 pounds or something, or I don't know how much you weigh.
I know, we've got that somewhere.
And I was just like,
Wow, this is the best ever.
you know.
I just thought of it. I forgot this was Christmas time. When I was 17, maybe. I had an aunt who I had met her a couple of times, but she contacted me and she was like, "Hey, do you want to come to New York for a couple weeks?" So she flew me out to New York, and I stayed with her and got to know her. And my uncle surprised us by flying out
Cool.
and staying with us. That was pretty. Christmas in New York
Yeah.
felt very romantic. We went ice skating at Rockefeller Center and
I've always wanted
went
to do
see
that.
the Christmas tree. That was really nice.
Oh, every time I've seen a Macy's Day Parade, I'd really like to go to New York City
Your
for
dad's
Christmas.
sister or your mom's?
No, my mom's sister. And that was when I didn't know what was happening with my mom. So it was nice to kind of spend some time with her sister.
Yeah,
That was fun.
yeah. It's funny the things that stick in your mind after you've had, we've had 68 Christmases and a couple of things that stick in your brain.
Mm-hmm.
I do remember our first Christmas together. Freddie wasn't born until February, and I was really big, and we were really poor. Really poor. And we went to Coyt's. That was a drive-in in Oklahoma City, and that's where everybody sold it. That's where they sold Christmas trees at Christmas time. Cool. In the parking lot. So we went to Coyt's and got those 25-cent Coney Island hot dogs and a root beer, and they give you a coupon for 50 cents. So we turned around and took the coupon and bought us a little Christmas tree.
Cute.
And that Christmas tree was about this big. A little Charlie Brown tree.
That was pretty. It was nice. It was symmetric.
And we put it on the only
table
that we had. Our dining table, or our coffee table was a telephone company spool. Those wooden spools that you painted yellow, because you painted everything yellow.
Yeah, I like yellow.
And we set that over in the corner, and I put that tree up there, and I could put my little presents around it. I had to go to the drugstore and bought one little box of ornaments. They're blue. And I didn't have enough money for the lights. And I didn't have enough money for presents for all my family. We get together at Eula's house. And they were always more than generous with all of us.
I like we bought them calendars.
We bought calendars where you put people's faces on their calendar. It's like a tea towel calendar.
Roll up.
You still had that calendar up at the house in Edmond. It was magneted to the freezer or something.
No, I'd gotten another one.
Okay.
Yeah, somebody had gotten me one after that.
Yeah, do you remember those? Did you ever see those? They're like cloth tea towels, but back in the day, now you can get that stuff printed anywhere. But you could send your family picture and it would print it and there'd be like a calendar underneath it.
I think we ordered
Which is a
them
weird
from the
thing to
drugstore.
put on a tea towel, like a dish towel. Like,
Yeah.
that's great.
Mm-hmm.
But that's
Right, right.
all we could
Poop in
find
that.
at the drugstore that we thought we could afford. And we went over to Aunt Eula's house and everybody was opening their presents and I was just and I just felt so bad. I just felt like,
Woe is me.
what are we gonna do? What are we gonna do when we have this baby and we can't even afford to buy a freaking Christmas tree?
Well, I look back on that now. We were dumb and young and stupid. But can you imagine out there how your mom and dad felt about the whole
Oh, I
thing?
know.
I mean, we didn't have.
And I was 20. It's not like I was a kid.
I think I had.
They were afraid for us.
Yeah.
Well, naturally they were.
They were afraid for
I
us.
think I had $200 saved. And
Yeah.
what car did I have?
You had the Bel Air.
Huh?
You had the Bel Air.
Bel Air, that's right.
And Mom and Dad had given me had they given me that old, no, they didn't give me those old good.
Yeah, I think they did.
No, because I must have.
That blue.
Must
That
have.
was a Buick, wasn't it?
Yeah. But I remember I had to drive your Bel Air for some reason to the doctor's office one day and it had no air conditioning and no power steering. It had a steering wheel. It was this big. And I was this big. Yeah, they were just afraid for us because we didn't have any.
Well, yeah, I look back on it and I'm sure they were terribly worried, but we were young and stupid. We didn't know how bad it was.
Yeah, I think we did know how bad it was. And then we'd been married. We got married in July, August, September. It must have been about September when you fell and hurt your back on the job site.
Well, it was because I was on 2 months of workers'
Disability.
comp.
Yeah,
and
that's the other reason we didn't have any.
I went to work November 7th of 71 was my service date. So 2 months prior to that, so it would have been
And we get a call and he'd fallen
Yeah.
to the basement. You've had like 3 super close calls in your life.
It's,
We had no insurance. We had to pay Brady out on a time on a loan to the hospital.
well,
There wasn't anything they could come get if we didn't pay it. There was nothing we owned.
Right.
well, I don't think I have. I may somewhere, but
Had that receipt.
when I had my knee operated on, I was in 7th grade, and they did it on a.
You had your knee operated on when you were in 7th grade?
We rented the plate glass.
Yeah, I walked through a plate glass, sliding plate glass windows back before they made them
Right.
tempered. And it was right in the summertime because we waited for school to be out so I wouldn't be out of school. And in fact, Shelley Bowen, she remembers Dr. Harsha. He's the one that did my surgery
Oh, really?
back then.
But you
And,
found your anesthesia bill and it was like,
yeah, the anesthesia for the, putting me under and all that, what they do was $40.
Right.
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, I think your hospital bill, when you were born, the whole shooting deal, I think I paid them a couple $100 down, but it was $1,200.
They
When
put
you
it
were
on my
born.
To have a
obstetrician.
baby?
That was obstetrician and delivery.
At Deaconess Hospital, which was the hospital to have babies.
I don't think that included Dr. Brooker's, my office visits. I think that was everything in
No,
the
that
hospital.
was just the hospital.
Just
But
the-
But still, $1,200?
And we had to
Yeah.
pay it out.
Well, that's really not.
But
I'm
at
not
that-
sure it was a ton of money.
You know,
for
with the
but-
value of $1 at the time, that was still a lot for us. We didn't have it.
Right.
Yeah, it took about a year for me to pay it out. But I mean, what else
But
are
I
we gonna
remember
say?
talking, well,
Right.
if we don't pay this, what are they going to do? Which they could have garnished your wages.
Repossess Brady.
Yeah, we didn't have anything to repossess. We didn't own anything. They would have just garnished your wages.
or just written it off. That's what happens a lot of times.
Oh, but we were scared to death. We were scared to death. I remember the day that I ran out of formula, and you were gone to work, and I didn't have any money. I was scrounging around looking for quarters in the house so I could go to the drugstore and buy a couple of formula bottles. Oh. So you worked really hard.
Didn't know
Fortunately, you
anything
didn't
else
die
to
as a starving child, Brady. You didn't have to live on the streets in a tent.
do. That's probably why you don't have a brother or sister.
Probably, yeah.
Because by the time we got on our feet and could think about it, you were so old that
Well, there were two reasons. I was scared because of my mom's history. That was the main reason I didn't want any more children. I was afraid it would happen to me, would happen to her. And then by the time we could afford to have one, you were too big. I didn't want to have another baby when you were 12.
Yeah.
So what do you guys want to do? You want to go to the shop and then come back and open presents? You want to open presents? What are we going to do?
I don't really want to go to the shop.
it's a hard
right now.
decision.
Yeah, I don't.
Okay.
I mean, we can do that on the way to the movie or something, or tomorrow morning.
Okay.
Yeah, in transit. Yeah, we can do it while we're going somewhere else.
Okay, just checking. Okay.
But you want a break from that space for a day.
Yeah, I don't mind going down. I just don't. I don't need that.
You've been spending a lot of hours down there?
Yeah. I think I started after Thanksgiving. So, the last few weeks. At least 3 or 4 hours a day, but this week, kind of. Yes, sorry. Just demo. Just been down there kind of trying to like knock out stuff and get it in the dumpster and pull out electrical and just takes a while. It's a mess down there right now.
Well, I
Kinda looks
was
like a
told
shit
about
show.
you, Brady. That's hope you don't have to do this again for the rest of your life, because that's quite a bit to ask for, I guess. But such a pain in the ass.
It is, but there's a certain part of it that's kind of like, I mean, it's incredibly anxiety-inducing for a couple of reasons this time, but I don't know, once you kind of get into it, it's like, I say that now, and next week I'll probably be pulling my hair out, but, you know, you kind of get into, like, knocking all this stuff out and trying to figure out kind of where things are going to go, and start to be able to
Well, yeah,
picture
there's
it.
parts of it. It's kind of like building a house. And
Yeah,
I know Jack's in that part now to where he's just burnt out. He's been texturing. I asked him, I said, well, how many boxes of mud do you think you've gone through? And I was thinking, you know, he smears everything, and then he's got his own technique. It's something I couldn't really help with.
Yeah.
He said probably 70 boxes of texture. He's textured.
Why didn't you just find a good taper and mutter and just...
Well, money. Costs money.
Can't be that much more than... I mean, if you put all the sheetrock up and just have somebody tape it
Yeah, yeah, there's a lot. Plus, you know, he's pretty persnickety about things.
Yeah.
Money? You got all that money to gamble? Hire somebody to mud your house? Just kidding. I'm teasing.
Yeah.
Anyway, he's just about got the downstairs. I helped him put up the ceiling metal in his bedroom so they could move back in there. But anyway, where I was going with that was, and I'm past that now. I'm into the part of life where I don't care to do that anymore.
Yeah, I mean,
building
it's,
houses, you know, the ones that I've built. It's fun. I like building. I've never gotten into remodel and retrofit like you're doing. I think I'd rather build 3 brand new ones as to do that.
yeah, I mean, it's kind of a hassle, but I think I had it all pretty cleaned up last week, and then I got all the dumpster full, and I hadn't emptied it yet this week, so I just started knocking out more stuff, and so it's just a mess again. There's just tile all over the place, and
What was this place before?
the whole building was an antique store, and they just had different antique booths and stuff, and different people on each floor. I think it's been a couple of those, probably on and off for the last 10. No, I remember driving by that space a lot, and I think I only remember it being an antique store in the last decade.
Okay.
But the way it was kind of divided up back in the 90s, it was just like artist lofts. So they had, you know, each floor was just somebody, you know, people lived on the floors. There's just all sorts of weird stuff built into it. We had to rip out this bathroom that had like 2, you know, a double sink and a hot tub and like a hot tub bathtub. Not a hot tub, but just, you know, a bathtub.
A jet bathtub.
Jets. And just all the stuff that, you know, people build over the years, and the people that were in there, the antique store, they had built, I think in what used to be the kitchen, they had built this kind of like coffee bar. So just ripping all that out, just the stuff that people do and like cobble together, and just layers of like shit, and there's more shit over underneath it. And so I finally got, I think, the bulk of that kind of all ripped down, and I'm just gonna wait for the dumpster to get emptied and get it all out. But it needs some TLC, but I feel like our approach is just like, it's weird. It's kind of like, I mean, it's, you know, it's been sandblasted. The floors, they don't look like it now because they're covered in or drywall dust and screws and stuff, but they're in good enough shape. It's just an old warehouse building. They're not like this. They look like an old factory floor. So just kind of like polishing a turd a little bit, you know, like, all right, get rid of all of this other crap and leave this, and then just tighten up the loose ends and try to figure out some lighting that makes it look it's workable, and do it as cheaply as.
Well, the guy that's
we
doing,
can.
I guess you call him your partner? You got a partner?
Well, yeah, the other business, there are 2 of them. We just signed the lease together, all 3 of us.
But you and another guy were primarily the 2 on the note?
Two of them.
Oh,
There are 2
so there's
people.
3 of you?
Yeah.
Okay. So what are they doing? They're working on their spots?
Yeah, they're trying to rework some plumbing upstairs for they have to have certain plumbing things, and like they do screen printing, so there's spray booth and stuff, and just trying to kind of do that this last week.
They're gonna be able to move in ahead of you?
They'll probably be moving in ahead of, I don't know, I feel like we're both kind of like mid to late January, just to get, late January probably for us. We still gotta get a new electric box put in, new panel, and then run all the, where all the machines are gonna go. It's kind of the next big thing. There's 3 phases of the building, but we're gonna have a 3-phase box, so we'll change that and upgrade that next week. But they're nice guys. They're pretty easygoing, and they do, they're in the same kind of similar business.
Your age?
They're a little younger. I think they're probably Kim's age, maybe like late 30s. Actually, I don't even know. Mid to late 30s.
Mm-hmm.
They seem to have a good head on their shoulders.
Yeah. Yeah, they've been, they're moving just kind of for the same reason we are. Like, their rent is getting too expensive in the Crossroads, and it's not really worth it.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah. They work for the brewery a lot. They do a lot of printing for them, and, they just kind of are in the same circle of people.
Mm-hmm.
It
So you're taking floor 1, and then...
Yeah, we're on the first floor, and we're kind of sharing the retail portion with them. Like that'll be kind of like we're running it and kind of doing the design and stuff, but just because they kind of wanted a place to sell their stuff, but not huge concern to them.
Mm-hmm.
And then we'll have some of our offices will be upstairs, so we're kind of like sharing the two.
Oh, okay. I thought maybe it was going to be by floor. You got this floor.
Well, I mean, it would be nice if it was. I just feel like the size of it, like we can't have a store and our off, like, so it's just equitable split of the space. Like the front is the common area that we all benefit from.
Mm-hmm.
We just needed offices to do that. So it'll be, which is cool. I mean, they're nice, they're funny, they're good guys, so I feel like it'll be kind of an interesting dynamic just to have this, kind of
commingle
environment. And then there's a photographer on the 3rd floor, and then a friend of mine, and she's rented the 4th floor, and we'll just sublease out for just artist studios.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty rough, like it's just kind of like a big, rough top floor of the building.
So you're committed for how long a time?
3 years?
And all the rest of these guys?
Yeah, they're all on 3 leases.
Are all 3 of you on the contracts? All 3 names, or any of the paperwork you sign? Is it all 3 signatures?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, all 3 of us are on the leases. I mean, that's the only signature that we're all 3 on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they can't leave you out high and dry.
No, I mean, not without finding someone to take their spot.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm not really worried about that because we're kind of both looking for the exact same thing, and they've been around for a while.
Mm-hmm.
If I decide to ditch it, then I think that they could easily just find someone to sublease it to.
Mm-hmm.
We just have to sign all that stuff over. Yeah.
Well, I hope it works out for you.
Yeah.
When you tell me what you're paying for rent, it's just mind-boggling to me.
Yeah, it's gotten. I mean, when it was $3,000 5 years ago, that's not a terrible price for 6,000 square feet.
Mm-hmm.
It just keeps going up, and so if we can cut that to 1,500 or 1,600 per.
Oh hell, that'd be like a
but
breath of fresh air.
It's just a lot of money for a location that hasn't really kind of paid for itself.
Well, sometimes your best laid plans and dreams do work out, and sometimes they don't.
That's true.
And then time has a way of changing things,
Yeah, but I don't know. I'm kind of looking forward to it. I feel like in a few months I'll probably be a little bit less stressed out about it. But I think once we started, it's like, okay, now we're doing it, and I didn't have to sit there and ponder ponder it, but
Mm.
I think now that things have kind of started happening, it feels kind of like, alright. Granted, I haven't started packing up a whole lot at the shop yet. That's the part that I feel like I've kind of gotten a little freaked out about. Like, I haven't thought too much. I mean, I've thought about it, but like,
Yeah,
I've
that's,
tried not to think that much about it.
well, two separate things. Getting your space where you can get in one huge thing, and then putting all that crap together and getting it over there. Wow.
It'll be fine.
It's fine. It's fine.
I've been cleaning. I got in a weather was about right, and I got in a cleaning out mode. You know, one of those modes where you get in the mood to just throw away shit. And that little closet underneath my stairway, I've used it for electronics and that type of stuff.
It's like a surplus store in there.
And the light didn't work; it went out, and so I got the light fixed, and I started going through stuff, and I had a big box and a trash can there, and I bet I threw away at least $2,000 worth of
Obsolete.
cables and stuff still in boxes that I bought back when I was working on computers. And I'd look at them and I'd think, will I ever? No. And
Have I ever?
I could probably sell a few of those things, but that's a pain in the ass. You know, if you only get $30 for it, just so I filled up the dumpster once, pretty much, and I'm still going, but I've made a lot of headway. And then there's a lot. Once I finish up and get all that stuff put away, there's many more shelves.
Maybe we can actually use that.
Jackhammer?
Click, 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 click.